Yes, so this is the double circulation. The deoxygenated blood from the lungs, oxygenated blood from the lungs will enter inside the heart via the pulmonary vein into the left atrium. Then it will move to the left ventricle, from which this oxygenated blood will reach all the other body parts or all the other tissues, and the oxygen and other nutrients will be transported to the tissue, and the metabolic waste product as well as the carbon dioxide will be collected, and the blood will become deoxygenated, and this deoxygenated blood will flow in the veins and will reach the right atrium and then the right ventricle, and then it will move to lungs via pulmonary artery, where it will get oxygenated. So since the blood is flowing through these blood vessels, there are three types of blood vessels which are known as artery, veins, and capillaries. Now each artery and vein consists of three layers. The innermost layer is known as tunica intima. Then comes the middle layer, which is made up of smooth muscles and elastic fibers, which is known as tunica media. And then comes the external fibrous connective tissue, which is made up of collagen fiber, which is known as tunica externa. So the thickness of these layers varies from artery to arteriole to veins and venules, and depending on their function and use. Generally, the tunica media in the artery is very thick, so the smooth muscle layer in the artery is very thick, and it is thin in case of vein. And capillaries only contain the single layer of endothelial cell, and these are very minute blood vessels. They are only single layer thick and made up of endothelial cell. So this is the double circulation. Most of the blood in the circulatory system is present inside the veins and the venules or the venous sinuses. So more than 60% of the blood remains in the vein. Only 7% of the blood flows through arterioles and capillaries, and rest 13% is inside the arteries, and other than that 7% inside the heart. So also the pulmonary circulation, which is the lungs, contain 9% of the blood, and rest 7% in the heart, and the rest 84% in the other tissues in the systemic circulation. And the cross section area is highest in case of capillaries. Even though they are very small in size, the surface area of cross section area of capillaries is very high, and this is responsible for the easy transfer of oxygen from the blood capillaries to the tissues. While the cross section area in case of aorta or other arteries is very less, and the cross section area in veins is higher than that of arteries. So this is the whole circulation. So what happens is blood will flow into the tissues via the artery, and then the arteriole and into the capillaries. Then the exchange will take place inside the tissue, and during this exchange, almost most of the fluid which enters inside the interstitial fluid is taken back into the capillary and reaches the heart, back to heart via the venules and vein. But some of the blood still remains in the interstitial fluid. So the small amount of blood keep losing from the capillaries inside the interstitial fluid, and this blood which is lost inside the interstitial fluid is then collected by the lymphatic capillaries present in the tissue, and via the lymphatic system it reaches back into the vein and therefore reaches back into the heart. So there are 5 types of blood vessels. First is the arteries. The major function of arteries is to transport blood under high pressure to tissue. So blood will flow from heart to the tissues inside these arteries, and since the heart is undergoing continuous contraction, so the pressure of the blood, pressure inside this artery will be very high, and this is the reason why they have strong vascular walls to handle this pressure, and the blood will flow at very high velocity in these arteries. Then comes the arterioles. Arterioles are small branches of the last small branches of the arterial system. So the arteries will further branch into many different smaller arteries, and then in the end it will form arterioles, which after this the capillary will start. So this arteriole acts as a control conduits for the blood. So they have strong muscular walls and at the end, which can control the lumen size of the arteriole and therefore regulate the blood flow inside the capillaries. So this arteriole, by controlling their muscular wall, by controlling the lumen because of this muscular wall, can either completely close the blood flow or allow the blood flow into the capillaries, and can also dilate or relax itself to increase the blood flow. So most of the capillaries are closed in many tissues, and only when the excess amount of blood is required, only in that case this arteriole will relax and allow the blood to flow through these capillaries, and therefore they can regulate the blood flow. Then comes capillaries. The major function of capillaries is to exchange fluid, nutrients, electrolytes, hormone, etc. from the blood into the interstitial fluid. And capillary walls are very thin, and they have pores which are known as they contain many capillary pores which are permeable to water but impermeable to large protein molecules such as albumin and globulin. And so water and small molecular substance can easily pass from these capillary into the interstitial fluid. Then the venule collects the blood from capillaries and gradually forms the larger veins. And the vein function as conduits for transport of blood from venules back to the heart. So, and they are equally important. And another major function is that they act as major reservoir of the extra blood. So as I said, more than 60% of blood remains in this vein. So whenever we require more amount of blood, the heart requires immediate increase in the blood amount of blood. These veins are the reservoir from which the extra blood is usually transferred to the region where the blood is required. And since the pressure is very low in the venous system, so the venous walls are thin. And one more thing is these venules and veins also contain valves which prevent the backflow of the blood and therefore allow the movement of blood only towards the heart. Now, since the same volume of blood will flow through each segment of circulation, that is the amount of blood which will flow in a given time period inside the artery, the same amount of blood will flow inside the capillary and inside the veins at the same time. Only then the circulation will be maintained. So same amount of blood will be flow, but because the cross section of the blood vessels varies, so the velocity of the blood flow inside this these blood vessels is different. So velocity is inversely proportional to the cross section area. And since the largest cross section area is seen in the capillaries, as I showed you, it is around 1,000 times more than the cross section area of arteries. So the blood flow inside the capillaries is around 1,000 times slower as compared to the velocity of blood inside the arteries, even though the same volume of blood is flowing through both of them. So the pressure inside the aorta is is fluctuating from 80 to 120. Is moving from 80 to 120. Then large arteries and small arteries also have very high pressure, and the pressure decreases in case of arterioles, and it is further decreased in capillaries. In capillaries, at the arteriolar end of the capillaries, the blood pressure is around 33 mmHg, and around the venual end, it is around 17 or 10 millimolar of Hg. Millimeter of Hg. And then the pressure in the venules is further less, and it is almost zero in case of small vein, large vein, and vena cava. And then it is higher in case of pulmonary artery, and similarly less in other veins. Then comes the lymphatic system. So this is the blood capillary. As I said, the atrial end of the capillary has high blood pressure, which is around 32 mmHg. So because of this high blood pressure inside the capillary wall, the blood will tend to move from inside the capillary to the interstitial fluid. Okay, so the blood will tend to move from inside to outside. But if the blood keeps on flowing outside, if the fluid keeps on flowing outside, and since the larger, as I said, larger globular protein such as globulin and albumin will not be able to move out of this capillary, so the concentration of the solute such as these proteins will increase, and this will cause the osmotic pressure. And because of high osmotic pressure inside the capillaries, now the blood will have to move from the interstitial region to inside the capillaries. So by the venous end, the most of the blood will move outside, but some amount of blood because of some amount of fluid because of osmotic pressure will still come back inside the capillary, and the net pressure of 10 mmHg will cause the movement of blood outward. So initially the fluid is moving outward because of the net 10 Hg pressure outside towards the outside of the capillaries. But at the venous end, now the blood pressure is significantly decreased. As I said, the blood pressure at the arterial end of the capillary is 22, and it is around 10 or 15 at the venous end. So blood pressure is low, but the osmotic pressure is still the same. So the net pressure will tend to move inside the capillary. So here the net pressure out from inside to outside was 10 mmHg, and here it is minus 7 mmHg. So overall, the overall pressure, net pressure across the whole capillary is around 3 mmHg, and this will cause some loss of the fluid from inside the capillary to the interstitial fluid. So even though most of the fluid will come back to the capillaries and into the veins, some of the fluid will remain in the interstitial fluid, and this fluid is necessary to be transported back to the heart. So here comes the role of lymphatic system. Lymphatic system represents an accessory route through which this fluid from the interstitial spaces can flow back into the blood. So almost all tissue have specialized lymph channel that drain the excess fluid directly from the interstitial spaces. So there are lymphatic capillaries. So these lymphatic capillary will collect blood from the interstitial spaces, and then it will via the lymphatic vessel, it will transport the blood to veins. So essentially, all lymph vessel from the lower part of the body will eventually empty into the thoracic duct. So this is the thoracic duct. So all the lymphatic vessels from all the tissue downward of this will join together and release all the and will collect all the lymph into the thoracic duct. From there, it will reach inside the vena cava and inside the heart. And sorry, not directly inside the vena cava. It will release the blood into this jugular vein and subclavian vein, and after that inside the heart. So most of the fluid filtering from the so most of the fluid which is flowing through the capillaries is reabsorbed and reaches the veins, but 1/10 of the fluid will remain in the interstitial spaces. So this 1/10 of the fluid will be carried from lymphatic capillaries via the lymphatic system into the venous capillaries, and so this fluid is known as lymph, which flows through the lymph vessels, and this make up around so every day 2 to 3 liters of lymph is transported back to the heart via this lymphatic system. Now, how does this take place? So the lymphatic vessels are specialized type of lymphatic capillaries are having a unique structure. So at the junction of adjacent since lymphatic capillaries are made up of these endothelial cells, at the junction of this adjacent endothelial cell, the edge of one endothelial cell is overlapped by the edge of another adjacent cell. So this overlapping can allow the free movement of fluid from the interstitial fluid inside the lymphatic capillaries. But once the fluid reaches inside the capillary, the valves will, this acts as valve. So this valve will close, and now the the fluid, which is the lymph, will not move out back to the interstitial fluid. So since these valves are larger, so so the interstitial fluid can easily pass through this lymph capillary, and now once they enter the lymph capillary, they won't be able to move out because of this valve, and therefore from these capillaries, then this valve will prevent the backflow into the interstitial fluid, and the movement of the lymph will occur from lymphatic capillary to lymphatic vessels and back into the heart. Now comes the last part, that is disorder of circulatory system. So first is the most common one is high blood pressure or hypertension. This is the term which represents the high blood pressure. That is the blood when the normal blood pressure is more than the ideal blood pressure, which is 120 to 80. So if the blood pressure in an individual is much more than the normal blood pressure, that is 120 systolic pressure and 80 diastolic pressure, then such condition is known as hypertension, and the blood pressure is around 140 or 150 systolic pressure and around 90 to 100 diastolic pressure. And this high blood pressure can cause various heart disease, as well as can damage the vital organs such as brain and kidney, and may cause blindness and stroke and heart failure and kidney failure. So then comes the coronary artery disease. So what happens in this hypertension is the pressure of the aorta is more than 80. As I said, the blood will only flow from ventricle to the aorta once it will increase the pressure. Once the pressure inside the ventricle will increase more than 80. So if the pressure inside the aorta is already higher, that is 90 to 100 mmHg, then more increase in the pressure of the ventricle will be required to open the semilunar valve and the ejection of blood from ventricle to aorta. So the systolic pressure will also tend to increase up to 140 or 150. Then comes the coronary artery disease, and it is also referred as atherosclerosis. And there is another phenomenon which is known as arteriosclerosis. So in this, what happens is the blood vessels get the arteries get coagulated. Sorry, not coagulated. They are the lumen of the arteries decreases because of the deposition of either calcium or fat or cholesterol and other fibrous tissue, which makes the arteries lumen narrower and also more stiff. So these are not able to conduct the blood properly. So if the lumen size is decreased very much, then the blood will not be able to flow through these arteries. And another reason, another thing is, if the stiffness of these arteries is increasing, then the arteries will not remain elastic and therefore will not be able to conduct blood at very high pressure. Then comes angina pectoris. So the symptom of this is acute chest pain, and it occurs when not enough oxygen is reaching the heart muscles. So this is more common in men as compared to women, and also it is more common in middle-aged or elderly people than in case of young people, and it is due to the condition that affect the blood flow. So if the muscles, if suppose this is the coronary artery which supplies blood to the heart muscles. If this coronary artery is blocked because of atherosclerosis or any other reason, so now the oxygen will not be able to reach the heart muscles, and in absence of oxygen, the heart muscle will not be able to contract, and metabolism of heart muscle will not take place, and therefore chest pain or angina pectoris will occur. Then comes the heart failure. It means the state of heart when the heart is not pumping enough blood to meet the needs of the body. So it does not mean that the heart stops entirely, but what happens is the ventricular muscles becomes weak. So since the heart muscle weaken or the heart muscle becomes stiff, they are not able to contract with as much strength as required, and so enough blood will not be able to flow, and it will not be able to meet all the needs of the body, and this is known as congestive heart failure. And because the congestion of the lungs is one of the major symptoms of this disease. So this is the reference. Most of the images are taken from NCERT Class 11 Biology textbook, and the book Guyton and Hall, which is the textbook of medical physiology 12th edition, UB Immunology 7th edition, Burney and Levy Physiology 7th edition, if not mentioned. So the references of the images are mentioned, and if they are not mentioned, they are mostly taken from these sources. Thank you.